All right, let's go over example number 2. So here we have an equation, x squared minus 16x equals negative 15. So the idea here is we need to isolate the variable x so that way we can find out what value of x needs to happen in order for this equation to be true. And in order for us to solve this, we can complete the square. And remember, if we're going to complete the square, we needed to make it look like ax squared plus bx plus c is going to equal some value over here. Okay? So what value do we need to add to both sides of the equation over here? So we're going to have x squared minus 16x plus a c value is going to equal negative 15. And I'm going to write here plus and then a blank space over here. The reason why I'm doing this is because to complete the square, we have to add a c value, and whatever we add to one side of the equation, we have to do to the other side as well, because that's the property of equality. So let's follow these directions again in the bottom left corner. We're going to find out what is half of our b value. So let's find out what our b value is. Our b value here is going to be negative 16. So negative 16 and half of negative 16 is going to be negative 8. And then we're going to square this value. Negative 8 squared is 64. So this is the c value that we're going to add to both sides of the equation. So plus 64, and whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. So now let's go ahead and rewrite this so it looks nice and neat. We have x squared minus 16x plus 64 equals negative 15 plus 64. We can do multiple things here. So on the left side of the equation, we have here a perfect square trinomial. Since we have a perfect square trinomial, we can go ahead and factor it. So let's factor this. We have over here x minus 8 squared. So remember, we're taking this same value and we're just plugging it in right over here. Okay. So x minus 8 squared is going to equal negative 15 plus 64. Well, if we have opposite signs, a trick that I like to do is I'm going to take both numbers, I'm going to subtract them, and then I'm just going to take the sign of the bigger number. So 64 minus 15 is going to give us 49, and the bigger number here is a positive 64, so it's just going to be positive 49. And now we have here x minus 8 squared equals 49. Now we have to isolate the variable x. And in order for us to do that, we notice here we have a squared right over here. The inverse of squaring something is to square root. So I'm going to square root both sides of the equation so that way we can quote unquote cancel the square. So once we do that, we're going to have x minus 8 equals the square root of 49. And we know what the square root of 49 is. It's actually going to be plus or minus 7. And then what do we do to both sides of the equation so that way we can isolate the variable x? We're just going to add 8 to both sides over here. So now we have x equals positive 8 plus or minus 7. Notice here we have two solutions. We can have x is going to equal 8 plus 7, or x is going to equal 8 minus 7. And then we just solve it. So x can either equal 15 or x can equal a positive 1. And that is how we can solve an equation, a quadratic equation, by completing the square.